Hi and welcome to episode 59 of the This Is Reportage podcast. My name is Alan Law, I'm the founder of This Is Reportage and This Reportage family, and I'm a photographer too. After a little break for the holidays, the podcast is back for 2021 with episode 59, and it's a real pleasure to be talking to the fab Steven Rooney. Steven is a UK-based wedding photographer and someone I've had the pleasure of meeting a few times in real life too. Not only is he a brilliant photographer with a huge amount of awards from various bodies to his name, but he's also a very down-to-earth, lovely guy too. Tune in today as Steven shares all about going from primary school teacher to photographer and how his teaching background has affected his own workshops, why he personally enters awards, having his surname chanted to him, the story behind one of his specific reportage awards, the subject of comparing yourself to others, homeschooling, learning how to use Flash effectively, and much, much more. Before we get to Steven, just a brief note to say that it's now a whole new awards year here at This Reportage and This Reportage family. Our awards are just one part of membership, of course, but if you do like to enter them, just a little mention that you have the best chance of ranking on our top 100 worldwide list if you submit to our very first collections of the year, which are open for submissions right now. Deadline for entries is the same for both websites. Submit by 23:59 GMT on 24th of January 2021. Right, over to Steven. Hey man, how you doing?
Hello, Alan. I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm all good. Yeah, fine. All good. How's things with you up in the north?
Well, cold and wet as usual. Yeah.
It is miserable though, isn't it? And it's miserable down here in supposedly sunny Cornwall, which is hardly ever sunny.
Yeah, on the beach today.
No, not today. Because the last that we were talking just before starting, weren't we? The last time I saw you though was down in Cornland, but it was years ago.
What a lovely place it is.
Oh, it is nice, man.
We absolutely loved it. You know, we loved that that whole vibe that you've got down there, especially in the touristy areas. Maybe you don't like the touristy areas, but it's very there's a lot of independent businesses, independent cafes and pubs, and I love that kind of thing. It's nice to get away from the hustle and bustle of small town life. And chain restaurants and chain cafes and that kind of stuff, you know.
That's true, or at least there was lots of individual businesses.
Well, yeah. Times are changing. Hopefully, they'll be back up and running for this summer, and I'm sure people will be itching to get out. And
yeah, totally. I mean, I think because we're back in lockdown again now, and I think it was easier in a way though the first one because it was more springy summer, wasn't it? Now it's like dark, cold winter. It makes it a bit tougher.
The first one. It, in some ways was quite enjoyable. I'm sure a lot of people would say the same thing, and I think it really comes down to the weather. You know, it was easier. I mean, we've got 3 kids, and it was nice to be able to get outside with them as alongside doing the schoolwork, and it kind of split up the day. And obviously the evenings are longer and it's light later, so you can go out and do all sorts of stuff. But now it's a little bit different with the cold and the wet and the kids going, no, not another round of homeschooling.
Oh no, yeah, it's so true, isn't it? It is so true. And getting my like Oni, especially my wife, is obsessed with getting the kids out. I don't mind that much; they seem quite happy in, but she loves them to get them out. But it's a real struggle to get them outside in this weather, especially.
Yeah, we just had to force our son to go out for a bit this morning, just to take the dog for a little walk around the block. But he's 13, so he spends a lot of time in his room playing on his computer games and watching YouTube, that kind of thing. So you have to try and, I mean, you can't tell them not to do that kind of thing, but you have to try and balance it out a little bit. But it's very difficult because there's nothing else for them to do. So
it's tricky. It's tricky. And what was 2020 like for you in general, though? I know, and it's good that we started talking about it. You know, what was the year like? How did you personally get through it? You know, did you shoot much at all? What was it like?
Well, I think in the end, I did something like 9 weddings and maybe 10. And
all full major ones, or some of them smaller, like COVID ones?
I think I did 6 before the lockdown kicked in March. Quite a few winter weddings, and you know, the winter weddings are quite difficult because of the light. So I didn't really think I got going in terms of my weddings season. Didn't really get going. It's like the winter's just a little bit of a warm up before the sun comes out. And then it all kicked off, and we had to close down, and weddings were postponed. So and because, and you'll know yourself, when you've got kids at home and you work from home, it's not always easy to balance that out. So in a way it could have been quite difficult, but in fact we just felt like everything was on hold, and we were kind of optimistic that things would get back to normal sometime in the summer, maybe late summer even. And so I thought, well, it's fine, we didn't lose too much business, and we thought, well, things are postponed, so we'll just make the most of the nice weather and go for walks. We went walking, we went swimming in rivers and lakes, we went canoeing, we did all sorts of stuff. It was brilliant.
That's cool.
And then as time went on, we realised things weren't going to get back to normal very quickly, and it dragged out a little bit. But do you know what? We were fine, and the kids were happy. We got through the year just about, and we're on to the next. And the turn of the new year, whilst things are still a little bit grey, weather-wise and financially and everything else, kind of there's a little bit of optimism in the air with the turn of the new year and the vaccine. And I think, I'm really hopeful that come spring things will start moving again, even if just a little bit, and it'll give everybody a real boost heading into the summer, and we'll have a good summer at least. That's what I'm hopeful for anyway.
Well, I'm like you as well, totally. It's so much more hopeful, isn't it, at the start of this year than it was like March last year. I'm just amazed, really, that we do have like approved vaccines. I really didn't think that was going to happen that quickly. So that is awesome. But it's good to hear how you were kind of, you sounded positive for last year. Then you didn't get down or anything. You sounded like you're in a good place, really. Yeah. Ups
and downs, and I think the kids take priority, don't they? And Sally and I, we both work from home. We did at the time, actually. Sally's taken up a full-time job in a school locally, which is just one of those things that circumstances dictated to us, and unfortunately this job came up, which was suitable for us. So she's been working since October, kind of full-time in the school, and our kids were back at school by then, and so things were reasonably normal for us, and I was doing a little bit of work here and there, picking up things in the house as well. So yes, things change, and you have to try and diversify and just kind of cope with what's going on, and see through the fluff, and kind of make sure you remember what's important, which is, I suppose, that the kids are happy, and that you can pay the bills, and then the rest of it, it's all just a waiting game, really, isn't it?
That's so true. That so much is out of our hands in that way. And you're right. It's what you focus on, what you choose to focus on in a way. And as you say, the kids' happiness, and that's so important. It can be easy to lose sight of that and be thinking about the whole big grand scheme of things and to worry. And it can be easy to do that.
Yeah, you could very easily get dragged down into all the negativity, couldn't you? But it's not helpful.
No, it isn't. You're right. It isn't. And it's looking so much more hopeful this year. It really is. It really, really is. It's all going to be, well, I think, as you say, spring onwards, or hopefully, or maybe summer, maybe we'll get part of a decent summer season still, possibly. We just don't know still, do we? We don't know.
No, we don't. And there's no point getting worked up about things that we don't know or can't change. So
no, it's true.
Just being accepting of it and just living each day as we can.
Yeah, that's good advice, man. It's good advice. And you mentioned there how it's Sally, your wife, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she's doing a bit of teaching now. Didn't you used to be a primary school teacher?
I did, yeah. Sally doesn't teach. She she would be a good teacher, actually. She works on the operations side of the running of the high school, okay. Which is cool. It's quite a fiddly job, but yeah.
But you used to be a primary school teacher, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I trained as a primary school teacher in 2001, did a PGCE in primary.
Okay, cool. What was that? What was it like being a so what ages were you teaching?
Year 3 to year 6, so it's kind of age 7 to 11.
Right, okay. Well, and do you teach them like all the different subjects then?
Yeah, everything.
Wow, man, what was it like? Did you enjoy it? How long did you teach for? And and then lots of questions. And then how did you get into the photography from being a teacher? So.
Well, it's one of those things that when I was in high school, and you finish your GCSEs and you start doing careers, and they say, oh, you need to get these GCSEs and you need to have some careers advice. You fill in all the forms, and it's what are you interested in? So I filled in all the little tick box things to say what I'm interested in, and it came up at the end of the thing. It says you should be an oceanographer. That should be my job.
An oceanographer?
Yeah, that was what it said I should be.
What is an oceanographer?
I think you study the seabed. Yeah, you map the seabed, that kind of thing.
Oh, cool. Okay,
it's niche. Geologist, this kind of stuff. So I'm interested in geography. I think I just have this love for being outdoors and adventure and that kind of thing. So I used to do a lot of walking and climbing, that kind of stuff. And geography I found quite interesting. So geography is a subject that you do when you don't know what you want to do. I did geography. I did geography at A level. I also did music and chemistry.
Wow, that's quite a diverse range of subjects.
Random subjects. And what happened was I went into the careers interview before starting college, and I'd got my GCSEs, and I wanted to be a photojournalist. That was my aspiration at that time. So I went in with my GCSE results in hand. I went into the college and said, I want to be a photojournalist. I want to do art, because they could do photography. And they didn't have a photography A level. Or photography BTEC or anything like that. Can you hear my printer going?
Yeah.
Kids are printing out the schoolwork.
That's so funny. There's so much to print out, isn't there? There's so much to print out.
Do you want to stop, or is it all right?
No, carry on. It's all good. I can hear. I like it. It gives authenticity of the time that we're doing it as well.
Well, there you go. So I came out of that interview going in wanting to be a photojournalist, and so I'll do the art, I'll do English, I'll do a language, I'll do some other bits and bobs, and that's what I wanted to do, because I enjoyed writing at that time. I enjoyed photography, and the child coming in to pick up some printout. There you go. That's all that's come out. Not yet. You'll have to come back in a minute. Sorry about this.
That's all good. It's all good.
We've got one printer. It's in the office.
Anyway, I'm definitely going to keep it in. It's all good. It's all good.
Where were we?
Talking about you. Yeah.
So I went in wanting to be a photojournalist, and I came out of the interview doing music, geography, and chemistry, because that's what the college decided that I would be best at doing. It's a bit bizarre. You kind of get shoehorned down a route. So I did that, and then I enjoyed geography the most. So I did a degree in physical geography, sand dunes and glaciers and all that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, cool.
What kind of job are you going to do with a physical geography degree apart from be a teacher? So following that, I did some work in a special school, and I thought I kind of enjoy this. And then I did a PGCE, and at that time you didn't have to pay to go to uni, and in fact to do a PGCE you got a bursary, so I got paid to do that as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Came out of that, taught for a couple of years, and in fact the first wedding I photographed was friends of mine who I met on the course, Ian and Michelle. In
your PGCE?
PGCE, yeah.
Cool.
So, printer's going again. Sorry if you can hear that in the background.
It's all good. It's all good. And what was that first wedding like?
Well, it was fun, and I knew at that point that's something that I enjoyed doing. But the funny thing is, I'm not a really sociable person, and being thrown into a massive social situation like a wedding, I thought I would find it quite difficult. But I found it very interesting, and maybe it's because you distance from the thing itself that I found it easy, because you're there but you're not there.
That's true, isn't it?
Technically I was okay. I suppose that the influence at that time, because their wedding was in 2005.
Oh wow, it's quite a while ago then, that first one. Yeah.
There was quite a lot of cheesy wedding photography still knocking about, and I wasn't up to speed with what's going on in the industry and what the trends were. So the stuff that I did was probably a little bit cheesy, and I may even admit that there might have been a little bit of colour pop going on.
Oh, nice. Have you still got those photos up on your...
Oh, yes. Hidden away somewhere. No.
Well, it's mad, isn't it? Thinking back to the very first wedding, though, we all must have shot it very differently to what we shoot now.
Yeah, so one of the things I remember is doing the group photographs on a tripod and having a cable release on the camera. And
That's proper cool, proper old school.
I'd shoot in the groups at like 1/60th or something like that. The trying to keep the ISO down because I was shooting that on one of those old Canons EOS 300D, I think it was, and it was the very first digital camera that Canon made at consumer level. The other one was the 10D, I think, which is one my mate Ian owned, and he let me borrow it. So I shot my first wedding on a consumer with a kit lens.
That's cool, Mo. That's cool, man. It just shows it's all about the talent rather than the equipment, dude.
Well, yeah. It's easy to get carried away, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I had so I didn't have, obviously I was a student at that time, but didn't have much in the way of spare cash, even though I did get paid for going to university.
How old were you then at that time when you did that first wedding?
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot. 24.
24, right? Okay, that's young.
People probably work that out and realise that that's not correct.
So you must have enjoyed that first one. I presume they liked the photos as well.
Yeah, they did. They loved the photos. One of the saddest things about it is Ian's wife Michelle sadly passed away a few years ago.
Oh man.
And I'm still very close to Ian, and it just makes you realise the importance of these things.
Yeah, gosh. Oh, that's awful.
And I know that I did talk to them a lot about the pictures, and I know which pictures that they liked and why they liked them, and why other people at the wedding liked certain pictures for certain reasons, and that obviously helps to have an insight in how you shoot.
That's true, isn't it? Because we don't get that in a day-to-day normal weddings. Well, I don't really get feedback about certain images that the couples liked or their family and friends. So it's quite invaluable, that kind of thing.
It certainly is. Something that you want to always keep in the back of your mind. But of course, the more things you have in the back of your mind about how you're going to shoot, the more it kind of puts you off what you're actually doing. Makes you sometimes second guess yourself.
That is true. And your job as a teacher, did you enjoy it? No, I think as a parent myself now, you have like a different experience with teachers, and so you just think about it a bit more. What was it like? Was it nervous going in and seeing the kids every day, or what was it like dealing with other parents and stuff? Was that trickier than dealing with the kids themselves?
Well, it was fine. You didn't have too much communication with the parents actually, but no, it wasn't difficult. I found it reasonably easy, I suppose, and I certainly think that teaching came slightly natural to me. And the PGCE course itself is only 9 months long, and halfway through that you get thrown into a classroom, and then after that you're expected to be qualified and being able to go to a job. So yeah, the teaching runs in my family, as does photography actually.
Oh, does it? Your parents are teachers, or?
My grandfather on my dad's side was a teacher, and he used to wear the cloak and the mortarboard type teacher.
Oh wow, cool! Caning people and stuff.
Yeah, probably. He also was a wedding photographer, and he took pictures of the weddings at the church mostly, local to him, which is near to Glasgow.
Oh wow!
So the way they did it, he had a dark room in his cupboard under the stairs, and he used to go to the church. They'd come out from the church. He'd take all the pictures, then he'd go home, and that was wedding photography back in those days. And then he could get the film processed by a lab. So what they used to do is get a bag of film from the wedding and hang it outside his front door, and they come to collect it. And drop the pictures off. He'd put them in and slide them into an album and give it to the couple, and that was that. Done.
Wow, that's mad. So different. It's cool though that you've got teaching and wedding photography then in your heritage. That is cool.
Yeah, and do you know what? The things that have happened recently have kind of made me realise I actually have another backup qualification that could potentially earn me some money. So I have been doing a little bit of work in schools recently just to keep the money ticking over.
That's cool. Have you enjoyed doing that?
Yeah, it's been pretty good, and when you're only going in kind of part-time or supply, then you don't have any responsibility really. You do have responsibility, that's a lie, but not as much as a permanent class teacher.
Right. Yeah.
So trying to I even considered going back into that, because, you know, when you do something for a living and all of a sudden it stops, and you kind of question yourself, what am I doing here, and what's my long-term goal, and can I keep doing this?
Yeah.
And you think, well, I need to book more weddings for the year after next, and there's so much competition, and you think, well, actually, I've kind of enjoyed slowing down a little bit, and maybe I can do something else. But I'm sure a lot of people have felt the same.
Yeah, what a year to reevaluate just everyone's kind of just position and life, and just it's mad, isn't it? It is mad.
It's unprecedented.
It is, isn't it? No one could have thought we would have anything like this ever. I remember, like, it's early March. I went to Vegas and whatnot, and my parents got me these hand wipes, because they're quite old. They're in like the 80. Well, my dad's 80 this year, and they were hearing about COVID, but I know they bought me all these like hand wipes on the plane. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll use them. But then little did I know, wow, on the flight back, I was definitely using them, because COVID was just entering like America then and stuff, and it was like, wow, this is proper real. It was mad.
Ramped up pretty quick, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did.
Thrown into it, and you get your head. Takes a little while to get your head around it.
Oh yeah, and I went like I had down times last year. It was a. I know that roller coasters are cliche, and there were more downs I think than ups, but it was Anyway, it's just been mental. It's just been mental. But you're teaching then, you know, because lots of photographers do workshops, which I think is great. By the way, I think I don't have many bugbears about our industry. One thing I don't like is that when you'll be in some little groups and then people go, oh, this person starting their own workshop, they must think they're great, you know, they've only been a wedding photographer for like 6 months or whatnot, and can you believe they're doing a workshop? And I have massive respect for people who put themselves out there, you know, and do a workship. I really do.
I actually came on a workshop that you did quite a long time ago.
Oh, that's when we first met, wasn't it? Was it
I think so, yeah.
Just on SEO, wasn't it, back then?
It was SEO, and it was a joint workshop that you did with Steve Gerrard.
Yeah. Oh.
There were a few other people who we still know were on that workshop as well.
Oh yeah, like Mick Shah was there, wasn't he, as well?
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, but you've done your own workshops now, and I was just wondering, you know, I guess your teaching experience must have had, you know, a big effect on how you do your workshops as well, and that must be such a big plus. That most people, me included, you know, I don't have any teaching background, so I know I've just kind of done my own workshops just without any experience, but yeah, it must have really helped you, I guess.
Yeah, I think so, and maybe to do with the way that I talk to people. Although my wife says I've got a bit of a monotone voice, I have to make it down a little bit. So something I'm working on. Anyway, yeah. So, but I've been on a handful of workshops, not loads actually in my time, and the one thing that I found about many of the workshops I went on earlier in my career is that you see a photographer, they show you all of their fancy pictures, and then they tell you how they do things, and then they tell you that you should do things exactly the same, and you may glean a few nuggets as you go through and take something away that you might use in your own work, but in fact the teaching part of it wasn't there. So when I started my first workshop that I ever did actually was an editing workshop, and it was in Manchester, and actually I planned it all out perfectly and tried to make it interesting and chopping and changing between things, and I wanted people to learn how to do stuff, and I didn't want people to learn how to do things like me, but I wanted to teach why we edit in a certain way, why something needs changing, and how to do things, how to achieve different looks and color theory and all this kind of stuff that you'd learn and take away, and it would help with your own stuff. Funny story about that though is I was actually late for my first workshop because when I was leaving the house, I left the house very early to get to Manchester, which is only an hour away. I left the house before 6 o'clock in the morning, and there was a huge traffic jam on the motorway.
Oh, nightmare.
And I was flustering the night before, and I was going to do it on my laptop, and I thought I need more power, so I need to bring my PC. So I put the PC in the car with the keyboard and the mouse and everything. I got to Manchester really, really late, and I was panicking all the way. I was ringing Sally and said, I'm going to be late, what am I going to do? And I couldn't find a place to park then because I was late. And then I had to look this big old PC unit.
A proper desktop PC, yeah.
I was lugging that down the road, and I was sweating buckets. And I got there, and there was a bunch of people waiting outside the room. They'd had a nice cup of coffee, and I'm really sorry. I was about half an hour late, I think. Really sorry I'm late. I was sweating, and my face was red, and I was so flustered. Everyone was fine, though.
That's so funny. What a way to start that was your very first workshop.
My very first workshop. Bloody hell, I'm not doing this again. It's ridiculous, and
But you've done numerous ones, haven't you, since then?
Yeah, the editing one, I enjoy editing. Editing is what really started me off, being really interested in the digital side of photography. And I shot my first wedding with a digital camera. I had shot film before that, and I sold all of my film gear to buy a digital camera.
Okay.
What I used to do with the film stuff is I used to shoot slide film, and I'd scan it in with my mate Ian's slide scanner. Ian, who I photographed my first wedding.
Oh, okay, cool, yeah.
And I would get it up in Photoshop, because I think we did have Camera Raw within Photoshop at that point. But I'd convert the slide into a JPEG and then edit the JPEG. And that's where my passion was, really, in this kind of digital stuff, and being able to change things in an image and change colours and just create something out of nothing, and create something that's just completely unique. So I used to go, for example, I'd go to the beach, I'd take a picture of the beach, and then I'd go to the zoo and take a picture of an elephant, and then I'd get it onto the computer and I'd cut out the elephant and put it in the sea.
Cool.
Make it look like it was actually there, and it looked awful, to be honest. And so
You didn't put a bride and groom on it as well, like being chased by an elephant on the beach?
Could have done that. I love editing, and I love shooting stuff in camera, like getting it right in camera. And I appreciate people who can do that really well. And I was never one of those people. So I was always one of these people who couldn't use a camera very well, but I could edit to make up for the lack of camera skills.
No, that's not true. It's modest.
Nowadays, I'm a bit different, and I'm quite happy that I can, and especially with this digital stuff now, there's very little tweaking that you need to do once you kind of settle on a style, which I don't know if I actually have yet, but once you know a little bit more what you're doing, obviously you need to edit less.
That's true, isn't it? That is true. I think it's cool as well that you started with a kind of a proper, a niche within a niche. Wedding photography is a niche, but then to do a whole workshop on editing, I think was a really good idea. A lot of people's workshops are just kind of general, aren't they? Really. Yeah. So I think that was really good.
Well, the reason I didn't do that again was I think it was just a little bit boring, and I'm going to do some other stuff. Well, this was my lockdown plan. I was going to do some other stuff to do with training relating to editing. So watch this space. Maybe I'll get round to it when the kids go back to school.
Yeah, you should do it again, man. You should. And
for that, and for the technology and how things work, but not just and why we edit stuff and how to make images better. So there's two parts to it, really. There's the overall look of stuff and the technical side of it, but it's also the critique part, isn't there? And what does an image need to make it better? How can you improve an image just through editing?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a proper call for that as well. You should definitely do it. And then you've also done workshops specifically on Flash as well, though, haven't you?
Yeah. So the Flash is the same, and I wanted the Flash to be something that people learn about light and how exposure works in relation to ambient light and flashlight, and explain it in such a way that people had the knowledge to be able to go away and use that to apply to their own style, rather than say, this is how I do it, these are the settings, go and do that. And people to just have the knowledge to go away and create their own stuff.
That's proper cool. As you kind of alluded to as well, that's proper teaching. That isn't like just copying, just do what I do. It's proper teaching to give people the knowledge and tools for them to do it themselves. And
that's exactly how I wanted it to be. I really didn't want it to be one of these ones. And so I don't start with a slideshow of my own work. I start with, this is what we're going to learn about. We learn about aperture, shutter speed, ISO, and then add a flash in, and how a flash adds to that exposure triangle, making it a very complicated pentagon. But how to think about that, and how to think about light in such a way that we can calculate it using numbers, and obviously. but we can also just think about it in terms of each thing separately on a scale going up and down, and how that affects the other things within that.
That's very cool. And the people that have come on your flash one, did like some of them come on there like having like hardly ever used any kind of off-camera flash? You get a multi-range of, yeah.
Yeah, a whole range of different people and using different flash systems.
Because it is something that is kind of just known within our industry as for some people being, like magic, really, that a lot of wedding photographers, don't have much of a clue about. So you should definitely do more of those flash.
Yeah, I did had to cancel a couple this year because of the COVIDs, but we do have one still, which may go ahead in March.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Much point in planning much at the moment, just see how it pans out.
No, there isn't, is there? And the way with your flash, you're really known as so good with the flash. But do you use the flash as well as for your portraits? Do you use the flash at any other times during the day? Like for the speeches or anything?
Yeah, all the time.
I do, yeah, all the time. Wow, cool.
If the quality of light isn't good enough on the subject, then I'll add some light in. And of course, cameras can deal with any kind of light conditions these days, and you could shoot a wedding almost in the dark, and it would be okay. But I just think that there are some situations in which the flash can help to improve the quality of your image.
Yeah, cool. And do you talk about that on your workshop as well? So different types. Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah. Also, it's and do you know what? I'm like many photographers. I'm a big fan of natural light, and if there was a big window, I would use it over flash any day of the week.
Right.
But quite often, as you know, there isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, darkest part of the venue, like put the best man in or something.
Yeah, I shoot outdoor weddings in the south of France every week. You wouldn't need a flash at all.
That's true. That is true. I'm just looking forward to the time where I'll have that decision whether to use flash or not. Just actual weddings going ahead. That would be
nice. Would be.
I only shot 2 weddings last year. Only one full wedding. So that was in January. And then I shot one small COVID wedding in like October. That was it for me, man. Mad.
How did you find the COVID wedding?
I had GPS, so it got me there. Boom, boom.
You're of course, pure documentary. So, a lot of it comes from facial expressions and trying to tell us through reactions and emotions, and that. I've done a few lockdown weddings, and obviously people wearing masks it's quite tricky.
It is definitely trickier. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is. I find just in general day-to-day life now, when you're like out picking up the kids when they were back at school and you're wearing a mask, and someone will hold the door open or something, and you just smile at them or something, and you just realize that they can't see that smile. It takes so much away.
I remember being at a wedding in October, and I remember coming in and meeting the mother of the bride, and she had a mask on. I am smiling underneath this mask. Just so you know, I'm smiling all day long.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? The one good thing about the mask, though, especially again doing the school run back in the winter, was that it just kept your face all nice and warm. That was just quite nice, I think.
That's true.
It was nice. Let's change tack slightly, Stephen. Okay, let's go a bit random one. Okay, if you could be someone else for a day, living or dead, who would you be?
Now, these are the questions that you'd think I would have researched and practiced and have an immediate answer for you. No idea. Absolutely no idea.
No, that's a very peculiar question, isn't it?
I quite like being myself.
That's a good thing, man. Have you always been like that, throughout your life, not really bothering what people think and stuff?
Well, yeah, on and off. And in this industry, especially with all of the social media and podcasts and all these and so much going on, it's quite easy to kind of fall into a trap of maybe producing work that you think other people are going to like for the wrong reasons, just or not putting work out there because you think you might get criticized.
Oh yeah, both those. That's so valid, both of those, and they're kind of almost opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think a lot of creative people are the same, but we have this intrinsic urge to create something and share it with the world. But the thing that you have to do, of course, is to not really care what people think about it, because it's your work, and what's happened is you've created it from something within yourself, an inspiration that may have come from a long time ago or recently, but it's inside you, and you create it, and it's your instincts that have made it how it is. And so if you like it, then it's good enough. And if
I like that.
If other people don't like it, then you need to try not to care. Very difficult thing to do, but you know, and there's always time for critique, of course, constructive critique from the right person, which has helped me. But
if you've requested it, though, in my opinion, anyway, I hate it. Yeah, I hate it when you just unrequested criticism. It just sucks.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. And there's a lot of that knocking about, isn't there?
Yeah, trolls. I say, honestly, I think one of the best pieces of advice ever, taught, everybody gets taught, I think, as a kid, is that if you have nothing nice to say, you just don't say anything. It's so simple.
It is. Why waste your energy? Why even bother wasting time looking at stuff you don't like? You don't need to tell people.
That whole comparison thing, though, did you ever go through a certain point in your career where you would look at people's work more than, I don't know, and just compare yourself more at a certain time? Have you always been like that? For me, it's been like a roller coaster. Sometimes it's just a funny thing, isn't it? How are you now? Do you look at people's work much now? Or?
No, and I've always been I've always actively actually tried to not look at other people's work, and especially in this country, and people who are close around us, who you might say are our competition. People who have inspired me in terms of wedding photography. I suppose there have been a few people in this country, but mostly people in other countries. Maybe it's because they have better light and better weather. Some people who I found their work is appealing, and I've followed those people.
Right. Okay.
So for example, if I've got a wedding at a venue I've never been to before, I won't look at what other people have done at that venue. I'll
good.
Try to come up with my own ideas by going to the place and having a little wander around and seeing what I think I'll be able to come up with.
That's cool, and that's cool, and that's not an arrogance, It's not. I know that from you. That isn't thinking that you're just going to take better stuff than anyone's taken there. You just want to do it your own way. There's no point in just replicating what other photographers are doing. No,
and you know what? I've always been an advocate of how you sell yourself is by producing good work and work that's unique and is kind of within your style and consistent within that. And you can be influenced very easily by looking at other people's stuff, especially if you go into a venue and you think, oh, they've done this at this venue, we need to do the same kind of thing. And sometimes your clients can pull you down that road as well, which is fine. You take a shot. It's not a problem, is it? But yeah, trying to stay unique is something that I think that will help your business succeed. So I've always been an advocate of doing good work. People will book you, and that the business side of things is secondary to that. Now I'm slowly coming around a little bit because I'm sure like a lot of photographers, I found that in the last few years there's been quite a lot of competition of them. There seems to be more wedding photographers than there ever have been, and everybody seems to be pretty good actually. So the business side of things is becoming a little bit more important to me, and I'm working on it. And I think I started out at a time when there wasn't that much competition, and because I hadn't really looked at much other work, especially kind of English-based cheesy photographers at that time, I was influenced by a more kind of modern approach from Australia and America, that I was able to produce stuff that was a little bit different and standing out in a saturated marketplace is really key. When you've got a whole wealth of photographers who you could go on any website and look at 10 in a row and they could all be almost the same.
So true.
And I think not looking at other people's stuff can help you.
Yeah, so true. It's so true, man. I think that's honestly really, really great advice. And I think for me that helped as well, in that like I didn't start this career by second shooting or anything. I just went out there and did it. And maybe a lot of people would say that's stupid or whatnot, but I do firmly believe that you just got to go for things at times in life, But I think that helped in the way that I didn't second shoot, because I didn't end up having a style that was just like my kind of mentor or whatnot. I just had to go out there and photograph how I kind of saw and felt it, really.
Yeah, I'm the same. Didn't do any second shooting at all until I don't know, maybe 5 years. And in fact, I didn't even realise there wasn't a wedding photography community until I'd been shooting for about 7 or 8 years, actually.
That's cool in a way, though, isn't it? That's cool in a way.
I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't really know anyone who did wedding photography. People didn't have blogs. So,
Wow.
People say it's a lonely existence being a wedding photographer. It's certainly a lot less lonely than it used to be.
That's true. Then, yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah. That was one of the best things for me. With the first workshop I ever went on was a Steve Gerrard workshop, and he had Ed Piers come for a bit, and it was just finding that community of other wedding photographers. I just love that. I mean, his workshop was ace as well, but I mean, just meeting those other people and discovering that other worlds of photographers was a big eye opener for me. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's good to see that people have the same struggles as well, and
that's true.
You can relate to that.
Yeah, it's important, isn't it? Let's change tack again slightly, Steve. And something I just wanted to try for the podcast this year. Well, we'll just see. It might be awful after the first episode. You're the guinea pig, so you maybe the first and last time I do this. But I just thought a bit of fun, kind of like just a fun little quiz type thing. Are you excited for that?
I love quizzes.
But it's what I'm going to say. I'm going to read out like a Netflix synopsis of either of a movie or a series, and I want you to see if you can name the series or film from the synopsis.
All right. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to start with an easy one. Okay. So I know this is random, but I know it could be fun. You could play along at home if you're listening. Play along. Okay. So the synopsis is: this hit sitcom follows the merry misadventures of 6 20-something pals as they navigate the pitfalls of work, life, and love in 1990s Manhattan.
Okay, that's easy. Because Friends.
Yeah.
My daughter's just watched the whole thing.
Oh, really? All like, is it 10 series or something?
Yes, or more, I think.
Wow. Gosh.
I remember watching it when it was on and missing out several series.
I did. Yeah, we did the same. I was obsessed with it at the beginning, though. I absolutely loved Jennifer Aniston. I used to have like pictures of her in my like school diary and stuff. Jennifer Aniston, and it was Ulrika Johnson I liked at that time as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Friends. I used to watch on VHS like episode, just repeating the episodes. I loved it. Anyway, okay. Next one. You ready for your next one?
Go on.
Ready
fire away.
Okay, so this is a movie. Okay, the synopsis is: it's a clash of cultures and a recipe for comedy when a crocodile hunter is plucked from the Australian outback for a visit to the Big Apple.
That's easy, that one, Alan. Come on, test me.
What is it?
Crocodile Dundee.
Good one. 2 out of 2. Okay, I'm going to go a bit harder then.
That's quite old, actually, showing my age there.
That is old, isn't it? I remember watching that as a kid. Okay, I'll go a bit tougher one then. Okay?
Go on.
Okay. A chance encounter brings together reserved bookstore owner William Thacker and Hollywood icon Anna Scott, who forge an improbable romance.
That's probably obvious for people who've watched it. Yeah, rom-coms. No.
Are you not into rom-coms?
I like all sorts of stuff, but I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, okay.
Got me there.
Shall I give you a clue? Who's in it?
Go on then.
Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts.
Notting Hill.
Nice. Boom. That's good.
There we go.
Let's do another one because this is fun. Okay. 8 US Army Rangers penetrate German-held territory during World War II to find and bring home a soldier whose 3 brothers have been killed.
Saving Private Ryan.
Good.
Yes. Get it.
It's good. And right, one last one. It's an old one. A film I've never seen, actually, but I want to watch. Okay, so last one. Comedy great John Candy gives a signature performance as a notoriously irresponsible uncle left to care for his brother's kids.
Oh, yeah. Uncle Buck.
Good. Yeah, is it? I've never seen it. Is it good?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, good stuff. Well done, man. You did well there. That was fun. I like that.
I say it's great. I made my kids watch Neverending Story and The Dark Crystal and these kind of films quite recently. They hated them all.
Did they hate them? Did they cry when? I remember when that Neverending Story, when the horse in the quicksand.
Oh, terribly sad.
Awful, isn't it? And that's like quite near. It's quite near the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to make them watch Labyrinth tonight.
Oh, good. I love that. I love that. That's creepy though, as well. Actually.
Yeah, it's a bit odd, isn't it?
How old's your youngest?
5. Same as yours, I think.
Oh yes, it's true. Yeah. Wow. Well, let me know how they get on with it because I'd like them to watch that. Talking again, I've spoken of Jennifer Connelly and Ulrika Johnson, but Jennifer Connelly is in Labyrinth, who I also had a massive crush on.
Of course. Quite young days.
This is so funny. Al's crushes. It's funny.
new podcast idea.
Well, thank you for being my guinea pig for that round. So I liked it as it will do. And you did very well actually. Right. I want to ask you about you. So you wrote an article a while ago about how wedding photography competitions aren't fixed and why you personally find them to be a good thing. And obviously, I agree with you. You made fantastic points in there. I just wondered, what was your impetus in writing that article? And did you read any of the comments that people left on Petapixel?
Yeah, I did. My impetus for writing that article was, I suppose it came from. I don't do this a lot now, but I would go on in Facebook groups and people would mention certain competitions, and say that they were fixed and say they weren't entering them and they were a waste of money and all this kind of thing. And for me, my business really took off as a result of winning the regional wedding industry awards a time ago, but it really did help my business. And around that time I was entering Fearless Awards as well, which helped to keep my work fresh. Now, of course, there is a downside to these things, but for me, entering awards is something that kept me motivated. I enjoyed seeing the other winning images in modern competitions, which help to give you inspiration and keep you creative. But it also helps you to look at your own work kind of subjectively and do a little bit of self-critique. And so that really helped me to focus on the quality of my work and improve in areas where I needed to improve. So I would also ask for people's constructive criticism on a photograph. So why would this image not win? Why would this image not win? And identifying areas for improvement. So for me, it's just one of those things that keeps me motivated, and it helps me to think about what I'm doing a little bit as well.
And I totally agree. And obviously people would probably think that I would be biased, obviously with running Reportage, but but I think there are so many different reasons why someone would choose to enter awards or not. And they're all just, as valid. What I just find funny is, as you say, people just complaining about them or whatnot. If you don't want to enter them, just don't enter. It's quite simple, really, in that way.
If you don't like a certain genre of music, don't listen to that genre of music. Don't listen to it and then complain about it.
Yeah, totally. It's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
and when you
to their own, and some of it's personal, some of it's business. And I remember listening to your podcast with Frank Boutonnet, saying his business model was based around the fact that he did win awards, and of course that's good for business, and it's good to have for clients to have brand confidence. And there are other ways to do that, of course, but it's one method, and it's certainly business.
Definitely
in that respect.
No, I totally agree. For me personally, the awards, and I still, for my own wedding photography now, I have a little drop down, how did you find me? And a lot of them say awards or top lists. So it works practically for me. And as you said, when you won that TWIA then, so did you notice a proper effect from winning that? Yeah,
definitely. And I follow up where did people find me? And people did find me on that listing, that directory, and on Fearless. So I did have a good number of inquiries that came as a result of awards too. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. And it's all good. That article was interesting though, and I saw some of the comments on Petapixel. What was it like getting those kind of comments? It's so, obviously you got some supportive ones as well, but you got a lot of trolls as well.
Yeah, I suppose you have to accept that when you're putting yourself out there and putting your opinion out there. I don't even remember what people said from a negative point of view, and it's just something that goes over my head.
That's good way to be, man. It's good way.
I mean, generally on social media, whatever you're looking at, whether it's photography or anything else, what kind of annoys me and makes me shake my head is that anybody can put anything on Facebook, for example, that's relatively serious, and you see that people have put a laughing emoji on it, or negative comment. I just think it's very sad, and I'm just glad I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, man, it's good. No, I totally agree with you, and I hardly look at Facebook now. Not for, I'm not for a specific reason. I understand some people go off it, properly for a year, and I totally respect that as well. And I just find out I'm just more productive by not.
So what? Sorry, for a year, not a year.
All right.
Sorry.
It's funny. I do. Mate, it is weird I say that then. Is it? I don't know, mate. Is it just me or is it just the area I'm from? I don't know.
People have listened to your last episode.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask you, how often do you get chants of Rooney in your life? Does it happen a lot?
Oh, do you know what? When I was a teacher, that used to happen quite a lot.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Because Wayne Rooney was around about that time when I was teaching. And I was teaching in Liverpool and Chester and Wirral. Well, yeah. So the question I always got asked was, "Are you related to Wayne Rooney?" I get it. I still get it sometimes now.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm his father. Is what I used to say. And they said, "Oh yeah."
Oh, that's funny. Are you a football fan? Are you a football fan?
I am a football fan. Yeah, for my sins, I support Everton.
Oh, you support Everton as well? Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I was 10 years old. We used to live in. I was born in Scotland. We used to live. So I've supported Scotland as a national team.
Oh, okay, that's a shame.
We used to live in.
Sorry about that.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm very proud, Scott. Actually, we used to live in Royal Berkshire till I was about 10. So when I was young, I didn't really follow football that much, and I supported Arsenal, or at least that's what I said when people asked me. And so I moved up here when I was about 10 years old, and I've supported Everton ever since.
Oh, cool. So you got the right name for that. Didn't he start his career as Everton, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Very young chap.
That's cool. Cool. Yeah, proud surname, man. Proud surname.
Yeah, it's good. It's an Irish name. If you go to like Galway, everybody's called Rooney over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were born in Scotland? Only my wife was born in Glasgow.
Yeah, I was born in Edinburgh. We have a lot of family over the Glasgow way.
Oh, that's nice.
Born in Edinburgh. Moved away when I was about 2. But yeah, I still have a strong kind of association with the place. I love it. We've been up there camping since, and it's just a beautiful place. Nice.
It is nice, isn't it? I need to go more. I did a wedding, wasn't last year, the year before, in Dornoch, which is like really, really high. That's like 800-mile round trip from me or something.
Oh, that is incredible.
Yeah, but it's beautiful up there, beautiful. And I went with Owen's family. We went to the Colonsea, which is a little island off Scotland. Don't know if you know.
No, don't think I've heard of that one.
It's just really pretty. It's just beautiful up there. It is. It's just.
It is, yeah. And I remember travelling through. We were going up towards Fort William, and I was driving, and Sally was asleep in the passenger seat. The kids were asleep in the back, and I had to wake her up to show her the scenery.
Was she happy with that? Was she okay with it?
She was fine. She was fine with
it. Okay, so let's go back to photography. What would be your top tips to help someone become better at the documentary side of what we do?
Back to the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we've talked a lot about flash and creativity and all that stuff, and I do all that, but of course documentary is the holy grail, really. And it's far more difficult to do good documentary work than it is to take a creative off-camera flash portrait.
Do you think, really? Yeah.
I do, yeah, very much so.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, to do it well, and understand what you're doing and incorporate that as part of a story. Yes, something that takes a lot of thought. But yes, I think to improve your documentary stuff is to just have a genuine interest in the people that you're photographing. To just let yourself become immersed in the wedding and the people and enjoy it with them and be there and be present. And
that's so true.
You can do that, and you kind of get into the zone then. And you've mentioned yourself that you still get nervous to going into weddings and podcasts and other things, but and I'm the same. But once you start shooting, you forget all that, and you're just there with your camera, and everything else kind of pales away, and you've got what's in front of you, and you can only see and hear what's happening, and you just have to interpret that and empathize with the scene, and try and represent that in a way that you think that your client will will look at the pictures and remember, and it's authentic and it's real. So really just getting to know your clients before the wedding, on the day of the wedding, talking to people and just getting involved, just to get a feel for the vibe and represent that vibe as best you can.
That's cool, man. That's great advice. And is that something that has that just come naturally to you, from the start of your career, or did you always kind of approach weddings in that kind of relaxed, but getting into there, getting to know the people kind of way, or is it something that you've just kind of?
Yeah, I've always consciously made sure people are comfortable with me being around, and it obviously you can improve those skills over time, and you can get closer without worrying too much, because obviously you start out and you think, I best keep my distance. And I think when I started, I used to shoot a lot with like a 70 to 200 or 70 to 300 Sigma lens manual focus that I bought for 30 quid second hand.
30 quid, nice.
Yeah, and my Sunpack flash that I bought for 20 quid from the second hand shop, which wasn't even compatible with my camera, which is a good story, but that's how you learn to shoot manual flash.
That's funny.
Anyway, so a fly on the wall from a distance is different to a fly on the wall. There's not it's not a fly, something that's in the middle of the action.
A fly on the floor or something.
Maybe the fly would be too low down. Maybe
a different angle though.
Maybe something else like a tree or I don't know.
But that's so true, isn't it? It's so different if you're far away from the action on those long lenses.
Yeah. So now I used to use that, and then I moved to a 50, and I could get a bit closer, and I'd still feel comfortable with being that close. And I thought people were okay with it. And then I moved from a 50 to a 35, and now I shoot most of the documentary stuff with a 35, and I'm close. I'm getting a similar frame as I used to get with a 70 to 200. But you're there in the action. People, the more you're there, I think the more people will ignore you.
Yeah, which is the odd paradox almost.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? And you can hear what's going on, and you get a feel from it, and you can, you can make eye contact with people. I'm not one of these pure documentarists, as you can tell from my work. But you can make eye contact with people, and you can smile to people, and you can reassure people.
That's so true. That smile is a big difference. That smile and getting people just comfy in your presence, and then they ignore you more when they're just happy with you being there. So it's all good.
That's it.
I think some people can forget that. I think some people think it's really important to have a very kind of professional facade, but for me personally, I just think it's best just to be yourself, be warm and open, and the professionalism is not that important, I think.
No, I think, things have changed over the years, and like when I first started out, I used to wear a suit with a tie.
And me, I did as well, actually. Yeah.
Now I wear jeans, dark jeans. And I still look smart, Yes, people. You've been booked for the wedding. People are paying you a lot of money. They know that you're professional. They wouldn't have booked you otherwise. Yeah,
exactly. So, that's true. It is true. Dude, let's go on. Let's change tack slightly. I like this question.
Okay.
Have you ever made any really memorable mistakes?
In my life.
Yeah, in your life. Could be in life or business or working, whatever.
I don't know. I make mistakes all the time. I think it's important to make mistakes.
It is true, isn't it? It is true. But have you never had any you never had a card fail during? I guess that wouldn't be a mistake anyway. That wouldn't be your fault or anything. You've never had any nightmare at a wedding?
I've had cards fail. I've had cameras fail. I've dropped lenses. I've all that kind of stuff. I've never lost images.
Touch wood.
And for most of my career, I did use cameras with the 5D Mark 1 and 2, and then of course the 300D, which only had one card slot. Do
you imagine doing weddings now? I couldn't do it. I think with a one card slot, even though I've never had a card fail. I'd be too paranoid.
Yeah, I've had a couple of cards fail, but I've always managed to retrieve the images from them.
Oh, that's cool.
Fortunately, but I tell you what, it's horrible, isn't it? When you think you've lost something, you come over in a cold sweat,
Oh yeah. When I missed that one first kiss at one wedding, I've only missed one first kiss, and it wasn't my fault. The lens just didn't focus at that time, it was one of those really quick ones. But I knew I'd missed it. I chimped, and I knew I'd missed it, and it kind of threw me for quite a while then as well.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, I've had things break at the wrong time. Fortunately, I dropped my 35, which is my workhorse, at one wedding. Right at the beginning, the groom was arriving at the church, and I was lying on the floor. I dropped it from about, I don't know, 10 centimeters. I was changing it over because I think I'd just got out of the car. I had one camera and I had my bag, and I just wanted to change the lens, and I dropped it from about 10 centimeters, and the front bit cracked. It had a filter, but the front bit bent, and the lens didn't work. Anyway, I had a 16 to 35 in my bag as well, so I mean that focal length was covered, fortunately.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? But I know I spoke earlier about how professionalism is not that important, but I was only meaning in one kind of regard. Professionalism in a different way of having backup equipment, very important, very important.
Yeah, it's your livelihood, isn't it? It's massive.
And it's totes. I can't believe I just used totes, and I just said it 4 times now.
Totes my goats, man.
Oh man, I've Steve, this is so good. I've really enjoyed talking to you. It's been what is it? Wow, over an hour.
Wow,
it's just flown by. So I got time for one more question.
Scooping to be doing here, Alan. Come on.
I know, and me. This is good. I've been getting out of it.
It's been asking me. It's been nice talking to you.
Oh, thanks for agreeing to do it, man. It's been really nice talking to you again. It's been ages since I saw you in that. It's just some random pub. Was it? It's like a Premier Inn pub or something.
It's been ages since I've seen anybody.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So I'd like to finish on just talking about one of your specific Reportage Awards, actually.
All right. Okay.
So it's a shot from a dance floor. I don't know if it's the first dance, but the camera is super low, kind of on the floor, and you can see. I think is it the bride? You can see her feet. Is it the bride?
That's right.
Yeah. And is it the groom in the background?
Yep.
And he's like laughing and dancing. It's such a cool, dynamic, different shot. Can you tell us about that shot at all?
So this one is in a barn place in Cheshire, and the couple, Leanne and John, absolutely lovely couple. It was a brilliant day, and they got married in this barn which had windows all the way around the edge. So in my element, no flash needed during the day, and Leanne is a singing teacher.
Oh, nice.
John's a videographer, but they're both into their music and dancing, and they love the dancing. And they had a choir there as well, which was Leanne's choir that she taught as well. So the first dance was well choreographed and lasted ages. So I had so much opportunity to get the normal wide picture with the full length of the dress and everything like that, and to be a little bit more creative. So obviously my flashes were set up on the dance floor as well, so I could move around, and I knew I'd get decent light anywhere. So just trying to get something different. I could see as Leanne was dancing, she would spin around and her dress would lift up, and that was the idea of it. It's kind of rock and roll type music, so she was spinning around a lot and the dress was coming up, and she had these sparkly heels on. So I thought it'd be interesting to get the dress and the feet as part of the composition. And you can't do this all the time, and fortunately, I'm lucky enough to have some really interesting and cool couples who do this kind of thing and allow me to photograph this kind of scene. So yeah, it's
proper cool, man. I just love it. It's so dynamic. You just don't get shots. You don't see shots like that of like the first dance at all. Really,
it's a lot of weddings you don't get the opportunity to. So it's the first dance can quite often be a little bit of swaying and everybody joins in. So to get the chance to do something a little bit more creative is always good.
It's true. It's awesome image, man. Awesome. And it's cool to hear your thoughts behind it. And if anyone's listening now, if I always say this, was walking or jogging, or if you're doing your one bit of exercise a day that you're allowed to, or whatever, I don't know what your rules are wherever you're in lockdown. A lot of the world is in lockdown though, isn't it?
It's true, yeah.
Yeah. But head to thisreportage.com. I'll include that award that Steven was just speaking about there. It's cool.
Okay.
Dude, we're gonna end it because it's just been hours. It's awesome. It's just flown by though. It's so cool. Thank you for talking to me. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for me.
Oh man, no, it's been awesome. Thanks for just sharing, just being so open. It's awesome, man. It's just so cool to hear you. It's been so long, and wishing you all the best for this year. Hopefully, I'll get to see you at some point. Come back,
yes, I hope
camp in Cornwall or something.
We will. As soon as we can.
Yes, as soon as anyone's allowed to travel.
Nice to see you and the family.
Oh yeah, be nice, man. Be nice. Much love to you all, and thank you loads, dude. That was awesome.
Thanks, Al.
See you, dude. Bye-bye. You've been listening to the 59th episode of the This Is Reportage podcast. Really enjoyed chatting to Steven. Such a lovely guy with so much to share. Hope you enjoyed listening. Head to thisisreportage.com to see the specific Reportage Award that he spoke about just then, as well as a link through to his website. We also have lots more episodes of the podcast available too. Delve into our back catalogue to hear from the likes of Tyler Workin, Pedro Villela, Rocio Vega, Rowena Meadows, The Framers, Ross Harvey, and over 50 others too. If you're not yet a member of this Reportage or this Reportage family, check out all the benefits of joining us, including an unlimited number of images on your profile, 60 individual award and 18 story award entries per year, invites to our physical meetups and parties, exclusive discounts, hours of educational videos featuring tips and advice from some of the world's best photographers, and much more too. Submissions are now open for our very first collections of 2021. And if you're interested in possibly ranking in our top 100 worldwide lists, you have the best chance if you submit to the first one. The deadline is the same for both this Reportage and this Reportage family. Submit by 23:59 GMT on 24th of January 2021. No poses, nothing staged. This is Reportage. And this is bye for now.